Jonah and the Whale. One day, long, long ago, God ordered Jonah to travel to a big city called Nineveh. God was not happy with the way the people of Nineveh were behaving and could not ignore it any longer. He wanted Jonah to preach to the people and help them change their evil ways. But Jonah did not want to go. Nineveh was not a nice place to visit. It was full of wicked people. So he tried to get as far away as possible and boarded a ship to take him to Tarshish, a long, long way from Nineveh. But God was not pleased that Jonah had not listened to him and did not want to journey to Nineveh. God sent a huge storm. The sky became dark. The wind began to blow. The waves towered above the ship. The ship was about to break into small pieces, and the sailors were terrified. They threw everything they were carrying overboard to lighten the ship. They called out to their gods to save them. Jonah had gone down into the hold to take a nap and was sound asleep. The captain came to Jonah and said,
"What's this? Sleeping? Get up, pray to your God. Maybe your God will see we're in trouble and rescue us."
Then the sailors said to one another,
"Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's draw straws to identify the people on this ship who are responsible for this disaster." So they drew straws. Jonah got the short straw. The sailors blamed Jonah for causing the storm.
They shouted at him,
"Confess. Why this storm? Why this ship? Why us? Where do you come from? What country? What family?" He told them, "I am a Hebrew. I worship God, the God of heaven, who made sea and land." The sailors were very frightened and said, "What have you done?"
As Jonah talked, the sailors realized he was running away from God. They said to him,
"What are we going to do with you? Get rid of the storm." But this time the sea was wild, totally out of control. Jonah said, "Throw me overboard into the sea. Then the storm will stop. It's my fault. Get rid of me and you will get rid of the storm."
but no, the men tried rowing the ship back to shore. The storm only got worse and worse, the wind wilder and wilder, the waves higher and higher. Then they prayed to God.
"Oh God, don't let us drown because of this man's life. And don't blame us for his death. You are God. Do what you think is best."
The sailors took Jonah and threw him overboard into the wild, stormy sea. Immediately, the wind stopped blowing and the sea became still. The sailors were very impressed, no longer terrified by the sea, but in awe of God. They worshipped God, offered a sacrifice, and made promises to only worship the one true God. Then God ordered a giant fish to swallow Jonah. Jonah was in the fish's belly 3 days and 3 nights. Then Jonah prayed to his God from the belly of the giant fish. He prayed,
"In trouble, deep trouble, I prayed to God. He answered me. I promised to do what you asked me to do." Then God spoke to the giant fish, commanding it to release Jonah from its belly onto the seashore.
Now God spoke to Jonah for a second time.
"Up on your feet and on your way to the big city of Nineveh. Preach to them. They are in a bad way and I cannot ignore them any longer."
This time, Jonah started his journey to Nineveh straight away, obeying God's orders. Nineveh was a big city, very big. It took 3 days to walk across it. Jonah entered the city, went 1 day's walk, and preached.
"In 40 days, Nineveh will be smashed." The people of Nineveh listened. and trusted God. They proclaimed a city-wide fast and dressed in sackcloth to show their repentance. Everyone did it, rich and poor, famous and not so famous, leaders and followers.
When the message reached the king of Nineveh, he got up off his throne, threw down his royal robes, dressed in sackcloth, and sat down on the dirt. Then he declared,
Not one drop of water, not one bite of food for man, woman or animal, including your herds and flocks. Dress them all, both people and animals, in sackcloth, and send up a cry for help to God. Maybe God will turn round and change his mind about us and let us live. God saw what he had done, or what they had done, that they had turned away from their evil lives. He did change his mind about them. What he said he would do to them, he did not do.
Jonah was furious. He lost his temper. He yelled at God.
God, I knew it. When I was back home, I knew this was going to happen. That's why I tried to run off to Tarshish. I knew you were sheer grace and mercy, not easily angered, rich in love and ready to forgive. So God, if you won't kill them, kill me. I'm better off dead. And God said, what do you have to be angry about? But Jonah left the city, made himself a shelter, sat down and watched to see what would happen to the city.
God arranged for a broad-leafed tree to spring up. It grew over Jonah to cool him off and get him out of his angry sulk. Jonah was pleased and enjoyed the shade. Life was looking up. But then God sent a worm. By dawn the next day, the worm had bored into the shade tree and it withered away. The sun came up and God sent a hot, blistering wind from the east. It beat down on Jonah's head and he started to faint. He prayed to die.
I'm better off dead. Then God said to Jonah, what right do you have to get angry about this shade tree? Jonah said, plenty of right. It's made me angry enough to die. God said, what's this? How is it that you can change your feelings from pleasure to anger overnight about a mere shade tree that you did nothing to get? You neither planted it or watered it. It grew up one night and died the next night. So why can't I likewise change what I feel about Nineveh from anger to pleasure? This big city of more than 120,000 childlike people who don't yet know right from wrong, to say nothing of all the innocent animals. Jonah listened to these words and understood.